Meals, medical treatments, even living arrangements may be decided not through discussion, but by default. The result? The quieter partner's voice, preferences, and independence fade into the background. A study published in Oxford Academic on caregiver recipient dynamics found that the type of relationship profoundly influences quality of life over time. Spousal caregivers especially face unique burdens, but so too do the ones being cared for, who may silently endure a growing sense of lost identity. Consider Eleanor, age 79. Independent, sharp, always decisive. When she began living with her partner Harold, things changed. He took over small tasks, paying bills, driving her to appointments. First she appreciated it. But slowly, Harold began making choices without consulting her. What groceries they bought, whether they attended social events, even which doctor she saw. Eleanor's opinions were often brushed aside with, "Don't worry, I've got it handled." Eleanor found herself quieter at the table, deferring more often. She no longer felt in command of her own days. And for a woman who had once managed her household, her finances, her career, this erosion felt like a theft, not of love but of self. This is the danger many seniors face, mistaking care for control. What begins as convenience may become dependency. What begins as support may become submission. And autonomy, your ability to decide for yourself, is not a trivial matter in later life. It is the last stronghold of dignity. When mobility fades, when careers end, when energy wanes, choice remains the pillar of identity. To lose it is to lose more than freedom. It is to lose selfhood. So ask yourself, in this relationship, do I feel more empowered or less? Do I still have my voice, my preferences, my agency? Or have I slowly been pruned down, like a tree with branches cut away until only the trunk remains? Because no matter how kind a partner may seem, if the relationship erodes your autonomy, what begins as an argument in the kitchen can end as fatigue in the body, brain fog during the day, or chest tightness at night. And here's the deeper truth. In later life, peace of mind is not optional. It is essential. It is as important as medicine, as food, as exercise. Without it, joy drains away, resilience collapses, and the final years become burden rather than blessing. So ask yourself with brutal honesty, does your partner bring calm or chaos? Do you feel comfort when they enter the room or tension? Are your days lighter because of them or heavier? Because a relationship that frays your peace of mind, even if it looks respectable on the outside, may cost more than it gives. And after 70, you cannot afford to sacrifice your mental well-being for companionship that brings no true comfort. One of the most subtle but devastating risks of entering or maintaining a relationship after 70 is the quiet erosion of autonomy. It doesn't always happen in a dramatic way. Sometimes it begins with small compromises. A meal eaten when you're not hungry because your partner insisted. A show watched that you never enjoyed. A doctor's appointment rescheduled to fit their calendar instead of yours. First, these seem harmless. After all, relationships are built on give and take. But as the years progress, as health declines, as energy fades, something shifts. The balance of power can tilt. Sometimes gently, sometimes forcefully. When one partner becomes more dependent, needing help with bathing, medication, transportation, the other often steps into the role of caregiver. And while caregiving can be an act of deep love, it also changes the nature of the bond. Roles shift. The equal partnership becomes one of authority and submission, of caretaker and recipient. But here is the harder truth. Sometimes the opposite occurs. The healthier or more assertive partner may begin to dominate decisions, often with the phrase, "I'm only doing this for your own good," when what should soothe instead stirs up emotional storms. For many seniors, the challenges of a new relationship don't look like fairy tales. They look like daily friction, unmet expectations, misunderstandings, jealousy, mood swings, or the slow, unsettling shifts in personality that aging sometimes brings. A qualitative study published in Frontiers in Psychology revealed that older adults in relationships often faced recurring issues: estrangement from adult children because of the new partner, infidelity, simmering jealousy, frustration over illness or caregiving roles, and emotional distance that grew when needs were not met. At younger ages, we have more energy, more resilience, more friends to vent to, more distractions. But at 70 or beyond, coping resources are limited. Social circles may have shrunk. Energy to bounce back from fights or disappointments is smaller. And beneath it all is a haunting awareness. Time is short. Each argument feels heavier, each disappointment sharper, because it eats into the most precious currency left: peace in your remaining years. Think of Margaret, age 76. After years alone, she thought she'd found companionship with Robert, a widower. First, it felt like a second chance. But slowly, Robert's jealousy surfaced. He grew suspicious if she spent time with her grandchildren instead of him. Small disagreements escalated into long, draining silences. Nights that should have been restful became sleepless as Margaret replayed harsh words in her mind. Instead of healing her loneliness, the relationship deepened it. She began to feel isolated, not just from Robert, but from her family and even herself. Psychologists warn that this kind of emotional turbulence doesn't stay in the mind. It echoes through the body. Anxiety, depression, and even chronic exhaustion become more common when emotional strain is constant. Elevated stress hormones, like cortisol, interfere with sleep, worsen blood pressure, and erode immunity. He noticed that whenever he brought up budgeting or slowing down, the warmth in her tone faded. Promises about our future together became vague. He stopped checking his bank statements late at night because the anxiety was unbearable. This isn't just about money. It's about dignity. Financial stress eats away at confidence, independence, and even health. Research shows older adults under financial strain are at much higher risk of depression, sleep disturbances, and physical decline. The anxiety seeps into everything. Their ability to enjoy small pleasures, their willingness to say yes to social activities, even their sense of safety in their own homes. And sometimes it isn't just overspending, it's exploitation. Studies from PubMed Central and Science Direct warn that financial abuse of seniors is alarmingly common, especially when cognitive decline, subtle forgetfulness, poor math skills, misplaced trust begins to set in. Often it's not strangers who exploit, but those closest. A new partner, a relative, someone trusted. That's why money in later years is not merely currency. It is autonomy. It is the ability to choose where you live, what care you receive, how comfortable or anxious your days feel. A partner who sees your resources as theirs to use, or who pressures you into spending beyond your means, is not sharing life. They are quietly stripping away your independence. So ask yourself, does this relationship help protect your future or endanger it? Does your partner respect your limits, your savings, your need for stability? Or do they see your life's work as a wallet to dip into? Because love should never cost you your security. And when it does, it isn't love, it's risk. A risk no senior should bear. Many believe love in later life is the antidote to loneliness. And sometimes it is. A healthy, supportive bond can bring warmth, laughter, and comfort in the quiet hours. But what happens when companionship becomes conflict? Seniors who protect their health by choosing peace over pressure often live longer, fuller lives than those who stay tied to draining partnerships. And the decision is deeply personal. So ask yourself honestly, do I feel healthier with this person or weaker? Do I feel stronger in their presence or more fragile? Do I feel like my days are expanding with joy or shrinking under pressure? If the answer leans toward fatigue, exhaustion, or decline, then perhaps the relationship is not love. It is poison dressed in the disguise of companionship. And sometimes the greatest act of love for yourself is choosing peace, even if it means walking alone. After 70, money is no longer about chasing wealth. It's about stability, security, and peace. For many seniors, income is fixed. Pensions, retirement savings, social security, whatever nest egg you've built is likely all you'll ever have. There's little room to replace what's lost, no second career to rebuild from, no decades ahead to recover from mistakes. And here lies the danger. A relationship at this stage can either protect your financial stability or quietly unravel it. Money conflicts are among the most common in all relationships. But in later life, the stakes rise sharply. When you're 30 or 40, financial setbacks can often be reversed with time and work. But in your 70s, a single year of overspending, a single poor decision, or a single act of exploitation can undo decades of careful saving. Consider Lawrence, age 74. A cautious, modest man. His late wife had always admired his frugal, steady ways. But when he entered a new relationship, things changed. His partner liked nice dinners, hinted at trips abroad, and dropped comments about romantic gifts. Wanting to please, wanting to prove he could still provide, he agreed. First a vacation, then an expensive ring, then covering some of her emergencies. Within 18 months, Lawrence's savings had dwindled to a level that filled him with quiet panic. It can be the very thing that shortens your life, because every day of stress adds up. Small daily hurts accumulate like drops of water eroding stone, until suddenly, health begins to crumble. Let me share the story of Gerald, age 78. A retired carpenter, widowed for 5 years, he longed for companionship. When he met someone new, his heart filled with hope. Hope for laughter, for comfort, for the warmth of shared mornings once again. But over time that promise turned heavy. Instead of peace, Gerald found criticism. Instead of support, he found endless demands on his time. He began skipping his morning walks, the walks that once kept his joints loose and his spirit high. His nights became restless, as arguments replayed in his head. His doctor noticed his blood pressure spiking. And Gerald, who had once felt strong and steady, began to ask himself the hardest question. Is this love, or is this a slow drain on my life? Gerald's story isn't rare. Many seniors enter late-life relationships with the dream of joy and companionship, but discover instead that the cost is their health. What they thought would ease loneliness instead deepens fatigue. What they hoped would lift their spirit instead weighs down their body. At this stage of life, health is not just important, it is everything. Without it, the remaining years lose their joy, their freedom, their independence. You cannot enjoy travel, hobbies, grandchildren, or even the quiet comfort of a morning cup of tea if your health is slipping away under the invisible weight of stress. And here's what most people don't realize. The body keeps score. When relationships push the body into fight or flight every day, the nervous system never rests. Cortisol, the stress hormone, stays high, straining your heart, damaging your blood vessels, weakening your immunity. This kind of exhaustion has no medicine. No pill can undo the damage of constant emotional strain. But when the wrong relationship brings constant tension, jealousy, or demands that peace vanishes. These are the truths few people speak about. We celebrate companionship, but we don't often ask, what if the companionship hurts more than it heals? In this video, we're going to explore 5 powerful reasons why having a partner after 70 might not be the blessing people imagine. You'll see how some relationships can quietly turn toxic, how stress creeps into the body, how finances become vulnerable, how peace can erode, and why sometimes walking alone can actually be healthier, calmer, and more rewarding than walking with the wrong person. Stay tuned because what you hear today may surprise you, and it may just protect your health, your dignity, and your happiness in this precious stage of life. Let's begin. By the time we reach 70 and beyond, our bodies become more delicate, more responsive to stress, and less forgiving of tension. The aches last longer, recovery takes more time, and the emotional wounds we once brushed off in our younger years suddenly leave deep marks on our health. Stress, arguments, unresolved tension, they don't just hurt feelings. They wound the body. They accelerate aging in ways you can't always see but you can feel. The tightness in your chest after an argument. The way your sleep breaks into restless fragments after going to bed upset. The way fatigue settles in your bones after days of tension. Medical science is clear. Chronic stress is poison. It raises blood pressure, suppresses your immune system, accelerates inflammation, and increases your risk of heart disease and stroke. Over time, it chips away at your vitality. And unlike when you were 30 or 40, your body no longer bounces back the same way. Each episode of stress leaves a deeper imprint. A relationship at its best should bring peace. But if that partnership becomes a source of constant arguments, silent resentment, or emotional games, have you ever stopped to wonder, after 70, is having a partner always a blessing? Or could it sometimes be a hidden burden? For much of our lives, society tells us the same story. Don't be alone. Find someone. Companionship is the answer. And yes, love, comfort, and companionship can be beautiful gifts. But the truth is not always so simple. At a certain stage in life, what once felt like partnership can, in some cases, quietly become pressure. What once promised joy can slowly drain your health, your peace of mind, and even your financial stability. Let's be clear. This is not about saying love is wrong or that companionship is bad. Far from it. Human connection is one of the greatest treasures we can ever experience. But as the years add wisdom, we also learn that the wrong partnership can do more damage than the loneliness we're trying to escape. Think about it. When you're younger, you have energy, time, and resilience to recover from conflict, from financial missteps, from heartbreak. But when you are over 70, your health, your savings, and your peace become fragile treasures. At this age, every ounce of stress weighs heavier. Every dollar lost cuts deeper. Every restless night steals more from the time you have left. Have you noticed how arguments feel different now than they did in your 30s? Back then you might yell, "Make up, move on." But now a single night of stress can linger in your chest, keeping you awake, raising your blood pressure, leaving you exhausted for days. Or think of finances. When you were working, there was always the chance to earn again, to rebuild. But after retirement, a drained savings account doesn't refill. Every careless expense, every shared responsibility gone wrong, puts your independence at risk. And peace of mind, perhaps the most undervalued asset of all. At 70, 75, or 80, peace of mind becomes priceless. It allows you to wake up with calm, to breathe deeply, to enjoy the simple pleasures of life. It is not nurturing you, it is reshaping you into someone smaller than you once were. And after 70, every choice you make should strengthen your sense of self, not diminish it. We've walked through a difficult but necessary conversation. Let's take a moment to gather the truths we've uncovered. Here are the 5 powerful reasons why, after 70, a partner may sometimes bring harm rather than healing. The hidden toll on health, where stress, conflict, and emotional tension quietly erode the body. The financial erosion of security, where fixed incomes and lifelong savings can be drained or exploited. The emotional strain, where the very relationship meant to ease loneliness instead multiplies worry, jealousy, and psychological burden. The dependency and loss of autonomy, where choice and freedom, the very essence of dignity, fade into compromise and control. And finally, the accelerated cognitive or social decline, where toxic dynamics isolate, exhaust, and weaken both mind and spirit. These are not abstract risks. They are lived realities. And if you've ever asked yourself, do I feel stronger with this person or weaker? That single question may be the clearest, wisest barometer of truth. Relationships in later life are not inherently harmful. Many seniors find love that truly uplifts, companionship that brings laughter, gentleness, and peace. But it is equally true that at this stage, the wrong bond can become a weight too heavy to carry. If you find yourself drained instead of renewed, silenced instead of heard, anxious instead of calm, then perhaps it is time to reconsider the path. There is no shame in choosing peace over partnership, solitude over strain. In fact, the strongest relationship you may ever build in your later years is the one with yourself. steady, respectful, rooted in self-care. Imagine a life where mornings are yours to greet the sun, where decisions flow from your own heart, where silence is not loneliness but serenity,